Buen día, amigos y amigas. Bienvenidos, bienvenidas. Yo soy el Profe Jeff. I'd like to welcome you to my first podcast in what we're going to call El Rincón del Profe Jeff, Profe Jeff's Corner. This is a podcast that will be talking about different adventures, lived experiences as I've traveled, lived, and worked in different parts of America Latina. The brainchild or motivation for this has been over the years, many students have requested more stories about the trips and travels that I've made as I've shared experiences about different countries in Latin America in class. And so we're going to put these in recordings so they'll be there for you to use in your class if you're a current student or just as your for listening pleasure. Many students have said that my voice is soothing. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but if it is soothing, this may be something that you can put on at night that will help you fall asleep, but will also give you the opportunity to learn something. To start with, I'd like to explain a little bit about why I am so passionate about the language and culture of Latin America, Spanish-speaking country. And that's because after a year, right after high school, after about a year or a semester in college, I had the opportunity to work and live among the people of Argentina as a missionary. And that was a very important part of my life because I was young and I had a lot of personal and growth during that time period. And I think back on it, all of that growth and interactions that I had with people from a different country than the place that I was born in, it made me connect in a way that I probably wouldn't have otherwise. And so, since those were such formative years, Spanish and the Spanish language and cultures of America Latina became a big part of who I am. And that led me after I came back. I was like many typical students. I went through different majors until I finally landed on the one I do now. I started out as an engineering major, moved to an accounting major, then I was marine biology major, and all throughout that experience, I took Spanish classes, culture classes, literature classes, linguistics classes, and finally realized this is what I love to do. So that's what I ended up doing. I attained a master's degree and now a PhD, and all throughout it, the focus had been to share through my experiences the love that I have for the Spanish language and cultures of all of these Spanish-speaking countries. And thanks to that, the job that I have, not only being a Spanish language and culture teacher, but I also have had the opportunity to work with students that study abroad. I've been able to visit many countries in Latin America. So some of the places, this podcast, the different episodes, my focus is going to be on visiting different countries in each episode and sharing my lived experiences. So just to review on the map that we have here, some of the places that we'll visit that I have been to. Obviously, we're going to start with Argentina. So that will be the next episode. But then after that, we won't go in any particular order. So I'd like to invite you to add any questions or comments that you have here in the comment area about countries or places you'd like to visit. But real quickly, I'd just like to review the places that I have been and the places that I haven't been, and we'll talk about how we'll view each one of those. So I've had the opportunity to visit Argentina on a few occasions, also traveling to a near neighbor to Uruguay. Also had the opportunity to visit quickly Paraguay, also visited Chile, and most of these experiences have been when it wasn't me living in Argentina or one or two personal trips. All of the rest have been through my opportunities as a Spanish language and culture teacher and advisor for study abroad. So we'll also visit Chile, which I've been to, a couple of parts of Peru, Ecuador, Panama, many times to Costa Rica. That's where we send a lot of our students for study abroad. And Mexico. Also been to Puerto Rico a couple of times for meetings. One of the most interesting places, which is in the United States, which we'll also talk about, is the city of Miami in Florida. And of course, I've also been to Spain. We'll touch on that after we've been to a few of these Spanish-speaking countries. So some of the ones I haven't been to yet, there's always the yet part of that in everybody's bucket lists. So I have yet to go to Bolivia, Colombia, Venezuela, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, Cuba, and La República Dominicana, which is in the Caribe. All right. So there are lots of different places that I have been, some that I haven't been. So for some of those places that I haven't been, I will reach out to people and we'll do interviews as part of these podcasts. We'll do interviews with people from places that I've been as well, so we can get to know from their perspective what it's like to live and share in their culture and their country. Since I'd like to keep an educational focus on this podcast, whether you're going to be using this, as I mentioned, for class or just for your entertainment and education, whenever I do talk about cultura with my students, there's always las tres P, or the three Ps, and we'll actually call it three Ps plus one for people. So I'm going to review those real quick so you'll have an idea of what we'll focus on in each episode. Of course, this is all while we explore the richness of the culture of every country that we talk about, the history and nature that are such an important part of those places. So the three Ps, the first P that we'll always talk about are productos, or products. And those will be, when you think about a country, one of the first things we all think about is, what's the typical food that is eaten in those countries? Or what's the music that comes from those countries? What are movies or literature that come from those places? And so those are often the easiest things to identify, the productos. For example, if you think of Costa Rica, when I talk about Costa Rica with my students, one of the first things everybody thinks of is el café, or coffee, because that's an important product from Costa Rica. Okay, the second P is perspectivas, or perspectives. And those are the opinions and ideas and values that are gained from each country. And those stem from things like talking about politics or education, ideas, opinions that arise, how people view the world from where they're at, again, their perspective. The third P is prácticas, or practices. And those are things, the social interactions, the festivals, the things that go on like that in different cultures. And in some cases they are the same, and in some cases they are different. One festival that I can bring up that is the same but different is La Semana Santa, Holy Week. So if we talk about La Semana Santa in Guatemala, that's going to be a different perspective and different practices than if we were to talk about it the same Semana Santa in Mexico or España in Spain. Again, same but different. Overall, the statement that I always like to share with my students, and we'll make that point as we go through our different episodes, is that everything, la cultura, ni es mejor ni peor, es diferente. So one culture is neither better or worse than another. It's just something different. And as we view those differences, that's how we reach a cultural understanding, and we learn more about each other's perspectives and practices. Okay. So those are the 3 Ps, and then we'll say 3 Ps plus one. The one extra P, the fourth P, are people. So we'll talk about people from those different countries, because when it boils down to everything, we really want to get to know who the people are, because the people are involved in all of the productos, the perspectivas, and the prácticas. So, for example, if I mention, I think this is a name that everyone will know. If I say Lionel Messi, everyone knows that, well, he's from Argentina and he plays football. So football is an important product of Argentina. There are many perspectives and many practices about that. And so one thing can open up the discussion about many different things. Okay. So, as I mentioned before, we'll enhance the 3 Ps plus one with other interviews, and we'll share videos, we'll share recipes, we'll share songs, we'll share events that are happening or may have happened. We'll talk about current lived experience, past lived experience, and give recommendations. So check in on a regular basis. There will be regular posts as far as this podcast is concerned. It will obviously be available first here on YouTube, and then also through audio podcasting platforms as well, especially Spotify and other things like that. So again, if there's something you'd like me to cover, put it in there. We'll have some fun discussions. We'll also have some serious discussions about America Latina. So since this is the first episode, I just wanted to give a brief, quick introduction about where we're going and the focus of what we'd have. I'd like to kind of end, and this will be something that we end each episode with as well, with a couple of quotes. These are from two of my favorite authors from America Latina. The first is Pablo Neruda, who's from Chile. And I'll first share the quote in Spanish, and then we'll go in English, and then have just a brief summary about that. So Pablo Neruda has said, "En América Latina, cada montaña, río y ciudad guarda un poema que solo se descubre caminando entre su gente." So in essence, he says, in Latin America, each mountain, river, and city stores a poem that can only be discovered as we walk among its people. So again, we'll get down to the people. When we interact with people, that's where we learn about these different aspects of culture. And this last one is from Mario Benedetti, escritor uruguayo, so he's from Uruguay. And he said, "Viajar por América Latina es más que un recorrido. Es un diálogo con la historia, la cultura y la humanidad misma." Which is, traveling through Latin America is more than just a trip. It's a dialogue with history, culture, and humanity itself. So with that, I'll extend another invitation for you to join me on a regular basis here as we discover América Latina. Okay, adiós, hasta la próxima.